So at Donald Trump's rally in the Bronx, he had some special guests. He had rappers Chef G and Sleepy Hollow. I know what you're saying. I never heard of them either. But just when you think Donald Trump's rallies couldn't possibly get any more cringe, always remember they can get more cringe. Take a look at this clip.
Chef G. Does everybody know Chef? Where is Chef G? Where is he? Come on up, fellas. Rapper Sleepy Hollow. Come on up here, fellas. How are you, man? Hey. Oh, I like that. I want to get that done.
President Trump. Oh, man. One thing I want to say. One thing I want to say. They always gonna whisper your accomplishments and shout your failures. Trump gonna shout the wins for all of us. Make America great again.
Thank you, fellas.
I appreciate you.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. That's what I like, those teeth. I want to find out where you did. I got to get my teeth like that. I want that to happen to me.
So the reason this raised a whole lot of eyebrows is because Chef G and Sleepy Hollow were both arrested on May 16th of 2023 as part of a 32-defendant, 140-count criminal indictment out of New York. And this indictment included murder, attempted murder, illegal firearm possession, and at least a dozen shootings. They're also allegedly members of the 8 Trey Crips and the 9-Way gangs. So tell me, where is the law and order crowd on this one? All we hear from MAGA is they're all about Back to Blue, they're all for law and order, and yet they had these two men on stage and they were cheering it on. Anytime we see a black person be brutalized by the police, the first thing that they say is, well, they should have just complied. They should have just went along with law enforcement, and they go out of their way to always paint that person as a criminal and a thug. And yet he brings 2 criminals on the stage and makes the comment about the gold teeth. How cringe can he possibly become? How low will this man stoop to try to get a vote and to try to paint this image that he is for the black community and has done a lot for the black community? It's an insult to the black community. It's an insult to everyone involved. And how can his followers sit there, the ones who are constantly talking about Back the Blue, and be okay with him bringing these 2 men on the stage? It absolutely blows my mind. But Michael Steele makes a great point in this next clip, so check it out.
Chef G and Sleepy Hollow. I'd never heard of them. The only way I know of them, Michael, is that now I am aware that they were both accused of murder in a 140-count indictment. So Donald Trump's pitch to us is gold sneakers and 2 rappers who were accused of murder. That is what he thinks of black people. As somebody, Michael Steele, who tried to expand the ranks of black support in the Republican Party, what do you think of that?
Well, it's an embarrassing affront to all the work and effort that African Americans are trying to create within their community and trying to get people to pay attention to the young African American boys and girls who are working their way through schools, who just graduated from HBCUs this year and from major institutions to set a course for themselves of the American dream. So as a presidential candidate, you want to remind us that we're nothing more than rappers with 140 felony counts against them.
You know, folks, I'm not black and even I'm offended. I can't imagine how it would feel to see that, to have someone dangle gold sneakers in front of you and 2 rappers with a criminal record and then sit and say, oh, that's going to win them over. I mean, it's an insult to black people and it's an insult to everyone. It's an insult to everyone's intelligence. And for the people who are standing up just giving this a pass, they don't understand racism. The ones who don't see through it are the very ones who will turn around and demonize the next black person that's unjustly taken out by the police. It's a sad, sickening world that we live in, and it's even more sad and sickening that Donald Trump actually has the balls and the guts to say that he's done more for the black community than anyone. Take a look at this clip and then listen to Al Sharpton's great rebuttal.
And likewise, we're doing record numbers with the African American voters. They are tired of what's happening to them. And honestly, there's been no president since Abraham Lincoln, and perhaps in a certain way, including Abraham Lincoln, but there's been no president since Abraham Lincoln that has done more for the black individual in this country than President Donald J. Trump. There's been nobody, not even close.
Well, you know, that statement is an insult to the intelligence of the American voters of all races. Donald Trump, under his presidency, nominated 3 justices that he takes credit for ending women's right to choose. These same 3 justices helped to change voting rights forever, taking out certain parts of the voting rights bill, and ended affirmative action. That's what Donald Trump did. We had record black unemployment. He gave a fraction of what Joe Biden has given to HBCUs. So for him to say that he did more for blacks than Barack Obama, than FDR, than Eisenhower, I'm talking about Republican and Democrat, more than Barack Obama, he didn't do more than George Bush, who I marched on as every opportunity that I had. So for him to say that is to say that we're stupid. And let me also say this. For him to float out there that he's thinking of trying to appeal to black voters by putting someone like Tim Scott on the ticket, I dare Donald Trump to put Tim Scott on the ticket. Tim Scott was the one that helped to sabotage the George Floyd bill. He, Kamala Harris, and the senator from New Jersey was supposed to be the ones to bring it together, and Scott stopped it. Scott also opposed many of our efforts in the civil rights community. So be my guest, Donald. Think you can placate us with somebody that just genuflects to you rather than serves their constituents?
When he said he's done as much as Abraham Lincoln, possibly more than Abraham Lincoln, I wanted to fall out of my chair. And the fact that he hasn't done as much as George W. Bush did, that really tells you something. But folks, I'm going to try to bring this back home where people in my part of the world can understand it. You see, I was offended when Donald Trump came to West Virginia and he put on the coal mining hard hat and he gave the thumbs up. A lot of people say, why was you offended at that, Brando? Well, because I felt like that he was exploiting our people for political gain. The guy had never walked down a dirt road in his life. He had never dug coal in his life. He doesn't have a callus on his hands. He's never earned his money with the sweat on his brow. This is a guy who has been privileged and pampered his entire life. And he's out there parading around in a coal mining hat when the coal mining industry, the corporations, have done so much to my part of the world to absolutely rape and pillage this land and destroy it. And to leave our grandfathers and our dads and our uncles just broken down with black lung, and then to stand up there and put on that hat and parade around in it, I felt like he was exploiting who we are, and I felt insulted by it. Now, I'm going to say something that I know is going to tick off a lot of people in my part of the world, but the difference between Appalachian people that stood there and cheered for that shit and the difference between black people is that black people realize this when they're being talked down to. They realize when they're being exploited, and that's why they're offended. And I really wish people could see through just what Donald Trump is doing to exploit everyone involved. Because at the end of the day, Donald Trump wouldn't piss on any of us. He wouldn't piss on poor whites or poor blacks. But he finds a way to capitalize on both and use both to his advantage for political gain. So he will come to your town, he will stand up, he will put on whatever hard hat they tell him to, he will cosplay as whatever they tell him to next to appeal to poor whites, and then when he goes to the Bronx, he'll bring up 2 rappers and he'll say, see there, look everybody, I'm for blacks too. And it's an insult to everyone's intelligence, and it's an insult to everyone who has fought so hard against racism down through the years. To everyone who has ever took a stand and used their voice for the greater good, it's just a slap right across their face. And the fact that people can't see through it, again, I just feel like they're completely uneducated, or they're unwilling to see it, or their hatred has them so blinded that they refuse to see it. And I'm going to say something else that's going to piss a lot of people off, but so be it. I mean, I'm already here. We're already this deep in the weeds. We might as well keep going. For everybody out there, you know, the poor Appalachian people that's for this, that thought, oh, cool, he brought 2 rappers. Would you let those 2 rappers and their friends come to your cookout? Can they hang out with you guys this weekend? I'm just curious. Because I can't count the times that I've seen people in my part of the world sit and talk about basketball And it's like, oh yeah, our boys are looking good this year. Our boys are going to do good. We're going to win a championship this year. But then suddenly, if some black guy shows up at the party, everybody's whole demeanor changes. I've seen that stuff till I'm so sick of it. And I'm so sick of seeing Donald Trump exploit everyone for his political gain. He does, at the end of the day, he doesn't care about poor blacks, poor whites, rich blacks or rich whites. He cares about himself. He will surround himself by the rich people. He will surround himself by them. That's who he will allow to party with him. But at the end of the day, the only one he truly gives a damn about is Donald J. Trump himself.